Hello and thanks for joining us for the Midday News. The 4th European Union Papua New Guinea Business, Trade and Investment Conference aims to unlock substantial economic opportunities and enhance EU's partnership with Pacific. This one-day event in Port Moresby features experts and industry leaders discussing best practices, challenges and opportunities in the EU-Pacific economic landscape. The conference also explores Pacific business sectors in Papua New Guinea and Pacific focusing on sustainable growth and environmentally friendly practices. A business fair runs, concurrently providing opportunities for promotion and networking. The government says district plans are crucial in ensuring that districts receive necessary attention and resources for growth and progress. Prime Minister James Marape reiterated the importance of district plans when launching 3 projects in Wawaria district in Morobe province last Friday.
Prime Minister James Marape recently launched 3 district development authority projects. These included the commissioning of the SDA Primary School, a youth empowerment program, and Wawaria District Development Plan 2023 to 2027. Marape said the 5-year district development plans are crucial for ensuring that districts receive funding and resources they need to thrive. Each district, including Wawaria, every year receives a minimum of over 20 million kina directly from the national budget. He said districts should target key development focuses for their districts. The Prime Minister said the government plans to set up a national monitoring authority to ensure funds diverted for projects are used to the expectations of the medium-term development plan. Marape said it is important for the government to prioritize the well-being and progress of all districts, and by prioritizing district-level development, the government can address the specific needs and challenges of each district. Meantime, the Wawaria District Development Plan shows an important blueprint of what priorities should be achieved, outlining the government's commitment to an inclusive and sustainable development. Susan Oreape, TVWAN News.
Hungarian President Katalin Novak has generously offered 50 educational scholarships to Papua New Guinea students. In response, Prime Minister James Marape has announced an equally generous matching offer of 50 scholarships for STEM students from National Schools of Excellence. The purpose of this initiative is to enable students to pursue higher education in Hungary, thereby enhancing PNG's human resources development. The decision to offer these scholarships was made following a bilateral meeting between the 2 leaders, where they emphasized the importance of knowledge and skills acquisition from world-renowned universities. The STEM program, which focuses on science, technology, engineering and mathematics, plays a crucial role in this educational endeavor. In regional news, Anthony Albanese has denied at the White House in a low-key gathering with partner Jody and Joe and Jill Biden. Tomorrow will be a day of talks with the President and his cabinet secretaries, who've prepared a swag of new energy and infrastructure projects to implement in Australia and the Pacific.
Unless they're the President of the United States.
Mr. President, are you urging Israel to delay its ground invasion, sir?
Israelis are making no decisions.
An answer worth waiting for, but dinner with guests from down under beckoned. This only a warm-up to tomorrow's White House gala.
I was inspired to bring together the vibrant Australia spring and crisp American autumn.
Never far from anything on this visit, China's a constant theme.
China has a head start, and that means we have to work a little harder and a little faster.
At a critical minerals roundtable, Anthony Albanese's thrown another $2 billion down for cheap loans and investments to accelerate mining and processing of lithium, cobalt and other rare earths. The government's fund now stands at $4 billion, with more incentives for local manufacturing on the way.
At a minimum, components for electric vehicles, including batteries.
The Prime Minister's pushing hard now to break a congressional gridlock over laws needed to share AUKUS submarine secrets with Australia. In return, Australia's promising laws to share its own military technology too.
A ballast for our argument of why this legislation is required to be passed by the Congress and the Senate.
The President's men and women are apparently all in.
We continue to share, continue to provide briefings and information to Congress so that they fully understand what we're trying to do here.
All senior administration figures involved with AUKUS maintain Congress will approve what's needed so Australia gets the submarines as promised. Then again, to admit otherwise would amount to a concession. The project may be as good as dead in the water. Perhaps as a counterweight to those uncertainties, a pile of new announcements is being stacked up around this visit. An expansion of fibre optic networks in the Pacific and possible space launches from Australia will be added to tomorrow's talks inside the White House.
After 16 years of working under oppressive media law in Fiji, it's a historic day for the local media fraternity in the Pacific nation, as the now revitalized Fiji Media Council was launched last week. Speaking at the launch of the council in Suva, Minister for Communications Manoa Kamikamika said the FMC comprises a diverse group of individuals who are committed to upholding the highest journalistic standards, defending media independence and freedom, and proactively addressing public concerns. Kamikamika said since the repeal, there has been a lot of work progressing to establish the Fiji Media Council, and is pleased to announce that the composition of this important body has been finalized. Thousands have filled Sydney's Martin Place in an effort to put pressure on the Australian government to do more to bring some home, 230 Israeli hostages being held in Gaza by terrorist organization Hamas.
Thousands of people, members of the Israeli community, gathered here in Martin Place at about 10 o'clock this morning. We heard from several speakers. Basically, their key message is that they're calling for authorities, particularly the Australian government, to do more in terms of calling for the release of some 230 hostages being held by the terrorist organisation Hamas in Gaza. So everyone here stood around. There was a silent vigil at the end, and then the thousands of people walked down Pitt Street and headed down to the Sydney Harbour Bridge, where they all got a photo that they're planning on sending back to relatives and friends in Israel as a show of support for those living through this over there. There were prams that were symbolising those children that have been taken hostage. There were hundreds of pairs of shoes to symbolise the men, women and elderly who have also been kidnapped. Now, those speaking said that it was important to hold this rally here in Sydney's CBD to send a message to the Jewish community that they are safe here and that there is no place for anti-Semitism anytime, and particularly in modern Australia. They were saying that many members of the Jewish community have been feeling particularly unsafe at this time. They were also saying that this is a war on Hamas.
Some of our community is scared to even go out as a Jewish. And I have an answer to those people. Not under this generation. This generation is a different generation. This generation is smarter, wiser, and we are not going to be scared, and we will come here and say what we have to say.
It appears that it is a city that is divided, but there is one united message in that everyone wants the killing of innocent civilians to come to an end.
The recently opened PNG embassy in Jerusalem, Israel, is temporarily closed as of 17 October 2023 due to the state of war between Islamic terrorist group Hamas and Israel. 18 PNG citizens, including 2 embassy officers, were evacuated during an evacuation exercise conducted by the Australian government. Meantime, PNG is among 14 other countries that voted against a resolution to immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Other countries include the United States, Fiji, Hungary and Israel. The resolution also called for the release of all civilians, the protection of civilians and international institutions, and ensuring the safe passage of humanitarian aid into the Strip. Last Friday, the UN General Assembly overwhelmingly passed the resolution which made no attention of Hamas, drawing praise from the Islamic terror group and condemnation from Israel. Israel stated it is committed to toppling Hamas to prevent another mass assault like that from 3 weeks ago, when more than 1,400 people were killed. Israeli media reported Foreign Minister Eli Cohen saying that intends to eliminate Hamas just as well dealt with Nazis and ISIS. In sports, Hekari United held off strong Ley City Dwellers outfit to claim the Women's National Soccer League Grand Final title at the PNG Football Stadium. Hekari scored 4 unanswered points to hold off its opponents from Ley. It was a great performance from the teams playing in the finals, but President of the PNG Football Association John Capinato said there is more to be done in women's football. Capinato urged all the clubs to work on their fan base so that the grand final event can see good attendance. Hekari walked away with 20,000 kina, while the runners-up Ley City Dwellers settled for 15,000 kina. Momas FC secured third place against 4th Bougainville FC with a convincing victory, claiming 10,000 kina, with North Bougainville FC settled for 4th place with a 5,000 kina prize money. Meantime, in the Men's National Premier Soccer League, Hekari United clinched the minor premiership title at the completion of the regulation round. Singapore ended Papua New Guinea's winning run 59-56 to clinch the Maxis Nations Cup title on Saturday evening. The national women's netball team, despite a 5 straight record win, were defeated in the finals.
The game was a thrilling rematch of the tournament's first match, where Singapore suffered a narrow 50-52 defeat to Papua New Guinea. The first 15 minutes of the game was fiercely contested, with both teams refusing to give an inch. However, midway through, Singapore made some errors, allowing Papua New Guinea to edge ahead and claim the first quarter with a 2-goal lead, 18-16. The second quarter was dominated by Singapore, with the home team overpowering their rivals through solid defensive play. Despite some errors creeping into Singapore's game during the third quarter, Papua New Guinea couldn't capitalize. Instead, Singapore's sustained defensive pressure enabled them to win the third quarter by 3 goals, further extending their lead 48-37. The final quarter was tense as Singapore experienced a higher turnover count and more missed shots than previous quarters. In the final quarter, PNG mounted a strong comeback, winning 19-11. However, it wasn't enough as Singapore secured the victory by 3 goals to capture the Maxis Nations Cup 2023 title. PNG finished second in the tournament ahead of Cook Islands, Canada, Singapore A and Sri Lanka. Susan Oriape, TV1 Sports.
Eddie Jones has quit as Wallabies coach just 10 months into a 5-year deal. Jones' immediate departure comes after a disastrous World Cup campaign in which the Wallabies failed to make the quarterfinals for the first time in history. During his second stint in charge, Australia won only 2 of 9 tests in 2023. Asked if he resigned, Jones replied that it was not far away, with the paperwork with Rugby Australia surrounding his release set to be signed. Jones, who had coached the Wallabies to a World Cup final in 2003 and England to the decider of the 2019 Global Showpiece, oversaw a horror show during the tournament in France. The Wallabies lost to Fiji for the first time in tournament history and endured further humiliation with a record-breaking 42-6 defeat to Wales. Jones hoped this departure would be the catalyst for change. That's all for now. Do join us this evening at 6 for the main news. Bye now.
Digicel TV, home of rugby league. Dial *515# to subscribe.